Welcome back, Defenders. Today let's start with the top story that everyone's talking about. Last week was the deadliest week of the war for Russian forces. An estimated 11,370 soldiers killed, captured, and wounded in a single week. I'm kidding. Nobody's talking about this. Nobody in the West cares. And apparently nobody in Russia cares about their military losses going parabolic. This is the top story that everyone's talking about. Biden to let Ukraine use long-range missiles inside of Russia. To begin, this headline is not correct. Long-range missiles are not being given to Ukraine. ATACMS are short-range missiles. The definition of a long-range missile is an intercontinental ballistic missile having a range of greater than 5,500 kilometers or 3,400 miles. So ATACMS are short-range missiles. Yes, they're longer than GMLRS. GMLRS, up till this point, with a range of 90 kilometers, has been allowed on Russian territory. But let's not exaggerate what's being given to the Ukrainians here. ATACMS with a range of 300 kilometers is still a short-range missile. But you can see how much territory in Russia this now covers. Additionally, the last 2 days, everyone was getting upset because there was a report that approval was only given in the territory of Kursk. Why would it be okay to strike with ATACMS inside Kursk, but not here, not here, not here, not here, not here? And we just needed to wait and see what was going to happen. This has been confirmed by the Russians. Ukraine used ATACMS on Russian territory for the first time. So where did they use the missiles? And they used them in Bryansk. This is the city of Karachev, and Ukraine struck another one of Russia's weapons arsenals. This was the 67th GRAU arsenal, and there is a video, I'll link it down below. We don't have the satellite images yet. I'm sure in the next day or two, we're going to get the before and after and see how much damage an ATACMS can do on a weapons arsenal. This is what the arsenal looks like. It's similar to the others that were struck with those jet drones about a month or two ago. And I can show you where on the map this is. This is the Russian town of Karachev. Here's the Kursk Oblast. Ukraine is on the other side of the border. And this depot, we can zoom in and you can see, it's very visible from space. And yeah, Russia has a serious problem. They have airfields, they have weapons depots, they have command centers, they have troop concentrations that are all now within short-range missile distance of ATACMS. And I just want to say, this is what I said 2 days ago. I'm currently using the platform Blue Sky. I intend to entirely stop using Twitter by January 20th, and I will be exclusively using Blue Sky to research for my videos. And I said 2 days ago, concerning the reports that this is just for Kursk, I don't think that will be the case after a week. Just wait and see. So let's get the Kremlin's reaction. What is Olga saying on Kremlin State TV now that ATACMS are being used on the territory of Russia? The Washington Post reports that Ukraine may not be limited to the Kursk region when striking with American long-range weapons. Once again, short-range weapons. So of course, it is not about DPRK soldiers. This is just a pretext. If the newspaper is to be believed, Kyiv will first focus on the Kursk region and its vicinity, and after that, it will launch other strikes after checking the reaction. Axios has just confirmed that the decision to lift the restriction on strikes against Russia was communicated to Kyiv 3 days ago, and then a chain reaction began. Following the United States, France and Britain authorized the use of long-range missiles to strike Russian territory. But in this case as well, there are only media reports, specifically the French paper Le Figaro. Ukraine will allegedly be able to strike with Scalp and Storm Shadow missiles with a range of 450 kilometers. Germany has not yet authorized the supply and use of German Taurus missiles. As for the American ATACMS, they have a variety of modifications. It is, of course, about the range. The maximum range of Kyiv terrorists have in their hands is 305 kilometers. Assuming that permission will be given to use them not only in the Kursk region, but also in other places on the map of Russia where these missiles can reach. ATACMS can theoretically reach Rostov-on-Don, Bryansk, Smolensk, and the Kaluga regions. If Western propaganda is to be believed, 245 military facilities and 16 military airfields are in the impact zone. Back in September, Putin said that strikes with long-range weapons would mean NATO's participation in a war against Russia. So the densely populated capitals of Europe should get ready. We're going to nuke you, we're going to nuke you, we're going to nuke you. So there are about 250 prime military targets that have been on a list that are within ATACMS, Storm Shadow, and Scalp range. Honestly, there's more targets than I think the United States can provide to Ukraine. Often, to successfully strike a place, you're going to have to launch a couple, more than just one. So it's now a priority list. Look at all 250 of these valid military targets and start prioritizing. What do you want to use with ATACMS, Storm Shadows, and Scalps? Officially, the United States, when reversing this policy, they're just going to blame the Russians. Russia escalated this war by bringing to the border 10,000 North Korean soldiers. Russia, by getting another nuclear-powered state involved in their war. They're the ones who escalated. So the United States is just responding to Russia's aggression. And it might be working. This might be advantageous, reversing this policy. North Korea may hesitate to deploy more troops to Russia due to ATACMS strikes, says Defense Express experts. Troop concentrations. Where are these North Koreans being huddled together? If you can find a juicy target, a dormitory or a barracks that contains more than 100 of these guys, is that worth an ATACMS missile? I think we're going to find out this week. China's also called for a ceasefire after Biden lifts the ban on using short-range missiles to strike targets in Russia. Yeah, I don't think China is too impressed with Russia's performance. It's been over 3 months and they can't even retake their own territory in the Kursk Oblast. This is embarrassing for Russia, and the Chinese are watching. This is also a boost for the Allies. Macron backs US approval for strikes deep into Russia. So we don't have, I think, official confirmation. There's been various government officials saying whatever, but I think officially from the governments of France and the UK, they've not said they've given approval. I think they have, but they don't want to say they have. There's no reason to. Just start using them, and the world can understand that approval was given once things start going boom. This is Zelensky's reaction. He held a press conference with the leader of Denmark, and of course was asked about this, and he also doesn't want to give details. Sorry, no details. Ukraine has long-range capabilities. Ukraine has long-range drones of its own production. We now have long-range Neptune missiles, and not one. And now we have ATACMS, and we will use all of these. Let's go. What is Russia's reaction? Step toward World War III. Russian MPs react to short-range strike permission reports. There will be nothing left of America. Russian politician issues nuclear threats against the United States. Putin yesterday quickly changed Russian doctrine to allow for the use of nuclear weapons in response to ballistic missile attacks. This is pathetic, Russia. To begin, Putin is a dictator. He can do whatever he wants. It doesn't matter what Russian law says or what Russian nuclear doctrine says. If Putin at any point in the last 3 years wanted to use a nuclear weapon, he would have used one. So go ahead, Russia. Change your nuclear doctrine. Nobody is paying attention to you anymore. So here is another announcement on Kremlin State TV, theorizing, how will Russia respond? How will Russia respond? The response could be anything. Anything. It's not for nothing that our nuclear doctrine has just been adjusted. As President Putin has repeatedly stressed, missile strikes deep inside Russian territory will change the nature of the conflict, its very essence, and be a radical escalation. After all, the USA, England, and France will be directly entering a war with Russia, with all the ensuing consequences for their own territories, and for those inhabiting those territories. As for the people in Ukraine who live near airfields where F-16s are based, they would be better off moving some distance away from them. We're gonna nuke you, we're gonna nuke you, we're gonna nuke you. The Russians have been saying this for 3 years. We're gonna nuke you in response to Javelins, HIMARS, Patriots, Leopards, Abrams, F-16s, and now ATACMS, being used on the territory of Russia. I've repeatedly made this argument why Russia will not use a nuclear weapon, and one, that's the death of Putin. If Putin uses a nuclear weapon for any reason anywhere, then he's dead. He's going to have to pick his favorite command bunker and go underground, and he can never return to the surface. The other major reason is the other nuclear powers. Russia has been told by India and China under no circumstances can you use a nuke. If India and China were to participate in economic sanctions, that's lights out for Russia. And now we have a third reason, definitely why Russia will not use a nuclear weapon, and it's because Donald Trump is returning to power in 60 days. If the Russians believe they will get favorable terms, favorable treatment from Donald Trump, they're not going to start a nuclear war with NATO in the next 60 days. There is no risk of escalation management anymore. This isn't a thing. So what can the Russians do? They're desperate. And this clip on Kremlin State TV to me is hilarious. For starters, I would transfer 1 or 2 nuclear Iskander divisions to Anadra as a direct threat to Alaska. This can be accomplished really fast with our military transport aviation. But in any case, we are obliged and must show determination. So Russia's going to move some of their Iskander missiles to Kamchatka to threaten Alaska. The caribou in Alaska are terrified. This is nonsense. It doesn't matter where Russia puts their missiles. They have ICBMs capable of hitting the entirety of the continental United States. Moving around missiles is not going to scare us, Russia. Realistically, what is Russia going to do? And they're just going to commit more acts of terrorism. Russian missile strikes kill 8 in Odesa right after Scholz talked with Putin on the phone. And there's videos of the injured and the killed in broad daylight in a residential area of Odesa. I'll link this video down below. But for a report on the ground in the city of Odesa, this is a member of Ukraine's parliament, Alexei Goncharenko. I'm going to share his reports.
Just minutes ago, again, Russian missile attack in Odesa, just in the middle of the city, possibly cluster ammunition. There are wounded, there are probably killed people. You can see the fire is happening right now. It's the middle of the city, just during the working day. Awful terror from Russians continue.
That was his first video. Once he got more information, he made this follow-up video.
Just in the middle of Odesa, there is a fire, a Russian missile attack. At least 8 people killed, many wounded right here. It is absolutely residential civilian area. You can just imagine what the horror is happening right there, right now. It's complete catastrophe. One missile which is not detonated is in the building. Awful. Russia is a terrorist which should be stopped immediately.
Russia must be stopped. What else can Russia do? Undersea internet cable connecting Finland and Germany damaged amid Russian threat warnings. And yeah, it's actually two communication cables, one between Finland and Germany, and then a second one between Sweden and Lithuania. And the Russians are just going to engage in sabotage, hybrid warfare, going after these underwater cables. How does this make you feel to people who live in the Baltic Sea area? Why is Denmark and Sweden still allowing Russian ships in and out of their territorial water when they're sabotaging underground communication lines? This seems like a conversation the Danes and the Swedes should be having with their neighbors. Let's check in on Russia. What have they been up to? Putin, where are you, B-word? Moscow police arrest a man protesting atop a billboard. Not all heroes wear capes, guys. And here's a report from a Russian woman who just did her grocery shopping, and she can't take it anymore. She can't take anymore the price increases in Russian grocery stores. The prices for butter went up either by 30%, 50%, or 90%. I'm standing in shock, and an old grandfather is standing next to me, holding a loaf of bread and some sour cream. And he too is probably shocked by these prices, and tears literally came to his eyes. He says, how are we going to live at all? With what money we are going to buy food? I don't have enough pension to buy a piece of butter. For 300 rubles or $3 US, 250 or 290. I look at him and it hurts me very much that people who have lived their whole life, who have invested their whole lives, all of their efforts into the development of the country, now can't afford to even buy a piece of butter. In our very rich country, where there's everything, where we should live, I don't know, like rich people, having everything. God has given everything to our country. How many people are below the poverty line? 40%, 80%? With these prices, I think 90% are below the poverty line now. And the living wage that we have now is just something unreal. To buy shoes and clothes for children for winter, you have to spend 20,000 rubles for one child just to buy a winter clothing set. And we fell into conversation. I am once again convinced of the fact the Soviet people saved their breath of mind. They understand all these processes, that this price rise, all this policy in general, is happening intentionally. He understands all this. Unlike, unfortunately, young and middle-aged people, many people continue to believe that we will rise from our knees. I don't understand it at all. We have been hearing all this. There is a methodical destruction of all spheres of our life and the entire economy. And we came to the conclusion that our task now is only to unite. Because there are hits in all regions, it is unclear what will happen. They're so close to figuring it out that their lives are terrible because of Putin and the corruption of the oligarchs that serve him. And this war is destroying their country for no reason. Alcohol sales in Russia reach record high in 2024. Gee, I wonder why. It's because pensioners can no longer afford to buy butter in the grocery stores. Let's check in on the Russian ruble. And yep, it got worse. It's only going to get worse, Russia. You can stop this war at any time, but your economy is doomed. Let's get to the good news for Ukraine. Denmark has allocated $137 million to Ukraine's defense industry. Thank you so much to the amazing people of Denmark. Germany said they're going to send thousands of mini Taurus drones to Ukraine capable of destroying Russian tanks. Okay. How long have you had these, Germany? But thank you so much. I appreciate the German people. All right, here's an update on the channel fundraiser. This is our third one. We had the birthday fundraiser in May that went over $1 million. We had the 1,000 Days of War campaign in August that went over 1 million. And we're doing it again. With the holiday season coming up, we're calling it the Broe Christmas Convoy. And I did make a video yesterday explaining more in detail. It's 10 minutes. I'll link this down below if you're interested in possibly contributing to this fundraiser. And 2,489 heroes have already donated. If you want to leave me a message, I can see everyone's name and the amount and potentially a message you left me. If you want to go to the Donorbox page, I'll link this down below and you can read other people's heartfelt messages. And the total we're at is $228,000 in one day. Unbelievable, guys. This potentially might be the most powerful YouTube community in the English-speaking world supporting Ukraine. Yes, there are Ukrainian channels in the Ukrainian language who have done larger fundraisers. But who beats us? Who else has fundraised over $3 million so far this year? Now, I do want to share one more video from a Ukrainian unit that will be getting a truck from our fundraiser. This is the UAV Battalion RAROG, 24th Separate Mechanized Brigade. This is their video for our channel.
We are RAROG, a strike drone battalion of the 24th Mechanized Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. We do attack and reconnaissance missions in the Donbas region of Ukraine. We asked JakeBroe, as well as Hut 99 Foundation, to help us procure 2 pickup trucks for our missions. Slava Ukraini! Героям слава!
Hey, these heroes are going to get 2 trucks. Now, if you've never donated on the Help 99 website, here's the donate button. And if you want to kick in 5, 10, or 20 bucks, go down to custom amounts, insert $5, and then click next. I just want to see as many people as possible showing their support for Ukraine. Now, I know there are people experiencing financial difficulties right now. I know there are a lot of seniors who watch my videos on a fixed income. If you're just watching my videos, giving me a like, giving me a subscribe, leaving a nice comment, you're helping in the algorithm, you're part of this fundraiser. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. Thank you so much for remaining engaged and continuing to support Ukraine. One last video. This is the President of Finland. Today was officially the 1,000th day of Russia's full-scale invasion. And this is the message from the President of Finland.
Finland's winter war lasted 105 days. Your war has lasted 10 times longer. We understand what you're going through. We will support you for as long as it takes. We support you because it is morally right. We support you because you're fighting for your independence. But we also support you because you're fighting for Europe's security. The fight in Ukraine is our fight. Slava Ukraini.
That's all for this update video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.